You are not having a bad day. That is the thing you will keep coming back to. You are not in a dark place. You are not in crisis. You are having an ordinary Tuesday. Coffee, emails, the specific, unremarkable rhythm of a life that is yours, or so you believed. The knock comes at 10:47 a.m. You are not expecting anyone. You open the door, the way you open doors, on ordinary Tuesdays, without preparation, without armor. The person standing there is a stranger, late 30s, calm, the specific calm of someone who has been preparing for this moment for a very long time and has decided that composure is the only way through it. They look at you, the way people look at something they have been searching for and are not entirely relieved to find. They say your name, not as a question, as a confirmation, and then they say something else. 6 words. 6 words that will take you the rest of this video to fully understand. I think you have my life. You let them in. Of course you let them in. Because the alternative, closing the door on 6 words that have already rearranged something fundamental in your understanding of yourself, is not actually an option. You let them in. You sit across from each other at your kitchen table, and they begin. Level 1, the mix-up. Here is what they tell you. 23 years ago, in a hospital that no longer exists, under that name, 2 infants were placed in the wrong bassinets. Clerical error, a moment of inattention, the kind of mistake that is so small at the point of origin and so enormous at every point after, that the mind struggles to hold both facts simultaneously. The hospital discovered the error. 14 months later, an internal audit, a cross-referenced blood type that didn't match the parents it had been assigned to. 2 options were presented to the administration at the time. Come forward, correct the record, dismantle 2 families who had spent 14 months becoming exactly that, families, or file it quietly, hope it never surfaces. They filed it, and it didn't surface for 22 years, until the person sitting across from you needed a bone marrow donor, until the medical search that followed pulled a thread that unraveled everything. Level 2, what it means. Let's be precise about what this means, because your mind is already running ahead of the information and arriving at conclusions before the full picture is assembled. So let's be precise. The parents who raised you are not your biological parents. The siblings you grew up with share no DNA with you. The family history you carry, the medical background, the ancestral stories, the features you thought you inherited, belong to another lineage entirely. And somewhere, in a house you have never been to, in a family you have never met, there are 2 people who raised the person who was supposed to be you, who gave their name to someone else's child, who built a life around an identity that the hospital assigned incorrectly on a Tuesday morning, 23 years ago, and the person sitting at your kitchen table is not here out of malice. They are here because they are dying, and the only person who might be able to save them is you, the biological sibling they didn't know they had until 6 weeks ago, the person living the life that was, by every biological measure, supposed to be theirs. Level 3, the request. They need a bone marrow transplant. The compatibility testing suggests you may be a match. They are not demanding. They are not threatening. They are asking, with the specific dignity of someone who knows that what they are asking is enormous and has no right to expect it, and is asking anyway, because the alternative is running out of time, and embedded in the asking is everything else. The question of the families, your parents, the ones who raised you, who may or may not have known, their parents, the ones who raised them, who are, by biology, your parents, the identities, the histories, the 2 lives that were built on a foundation that has just been revealed as belonging to someone else. All of it, in a single request, at your kitchen table. On an ordinary Tuesday, they leave you with their number and a folder of documentation, hospital records, DNA results, the paper trail of a mistake that has been waiting 22 years to become your problem, and you sit alone in the life that is yours, or was, or is, but differently now, and you begin to look at it, really look at it. Rank 1, the parents, your parents, the people who drove you to school and attended every performance and argued with you about curfew and sat in hospital waiting rooms when you were sick and loved you. You have never doubted the love. The love was always real. But now a question you cannot unask. Did they know? The folder includes a document, a letter from the hospital, sent to both sets of parents, 18 months after the swap, offering disclosure, awaiting a response. The response from your parents: "We do not wish to proceed." Signed, dated, your father's handwriting. They knew for 21 years, and they chose every single day not to tell you, and you can hold two things simultaneously now, if you are brave enough, that the love was real, and that the silence was a choice, both things, at the same time, without letting one cancel the other. Rank 2, the identity, your name, the name you have answered to for 23 years, the name on your degrees, your contracts, your relationships, the name that is, in every legal and social sense, entirely yours, is not the name that was supposed to be yours. Somewhere across the city, there is a person who has been living under a name that the hospital assigned to the wrong bassinet, who has your biological history, your medical background, who looks, the folder includes a photograph, more like the biological parents than you ever did, who grew up asking why they didn't quite fit the family they were placed in. The same question you asked, the same unanswered dissonance, the same gap between the self and the story that was never quite fully explainable. You thought that gap was just the ordinary alienation of growing up, the universal teenage sense of not quite belonging. It wasn't. It was information. Your body knew something. Your mind wasn't told. And it told you quietly for 23 years, in the language of unease and unexplained distance, and the feeling, dismissed so many times, that the life you were living had been built around a shape that wasn't quite yours. Rank 3, the life they built. And then there is the other side, the person who came to your door, the person who has been living what was, by every biological measure, supposed to be your life. They grew up in your biological family, with your birth parents, who are, the folder tells you, still together, who built a life around a child, who was theirs by law and love, but not by blood, who also presumably knew, or didn't. You don't yet have that answer. They went to different schools, made different choices, built a different career, loved different people, became, through 23 years, of completely different experience, a completely different person than you would have been if the bassinets had been right, and you would have been different too. The you that would have grown up in their family is not the you sitting here now. Different environment, different influences, different wounds, different strengths. The life that is supposedly theirs, the one you have been living, would have made them someone other than who they are, which means the life doesn't actually belong to either of you. It belongs to the person who lived it, which is you, which has always been you. The mistake didn't steal a life, created one, two of them, irreversibly. And now the decisions, because the folder is on your table. The number is in your phone, and there are several questions that require answers you have not been given time to prepare for. Decision 1, the medical question. Do you get tested? The bone marrow compatibility test is a simple procedure, low risk, minimal discomfort. The results will tell you whether you are a match. If you are, The donation itself is more involved. But survivable? The simple answer is yes. Of course you get tested. A person's life may depend on it. The moral calculus seems straightforward. Except, getting tested means engaging with the reality of what you've been told. It means beginning a medical relationship with a biological family you have never met. It means your body becoming part of a story you did not choose to be in. And it opens every other question that follows from it. The parents, the identity, the history. Yes to the test is yes to all of it. Are you ready for all of it? Decision 2. The family question. Do you confront your parents? The people who raised you, who loved you, who signed a document 21 years ago, choosing silence over your right to know your own origins. You could say nothing, absorb the information, carry it alone, protect them from the confrontation they have been avoiding for 2 decades. The good person instinct, the familiar one, the one that costs you and protects everyone else. Or you could ask, not accusingly, just asking, did you know? 3 words, the answer to which will permanently alter one of the 2 remaining things in this story that still feels stable. If they say yes, you have to decide what to do with the knowledge that the people who loved you most built that love on a foundation of chosen silence. If they say no, you have to decide whether you believe them and whether your ability to believe them has been permanently and irreparably damaged. There is no version of this question that does not cost you something. Decision 3, the identity question. And finally, the one that has no practical urgency, but the most existential weight. What do you do with the knowledge of who you biologically are? There are 2 people in a house across this city who are your biological parents, who raised someone else's child, who may have questions they have been living with for 23 years, who may want to know you or may not, who's wanting or not wanting. You have no control over. And there is the person who came to your door, who is, by blood, your sibling, who is sick, who is asking for help from a stranger, who shares their bone marrow and nothing else. Do you reach toward this? Do you allow the biological reality to become a human relationship? Or do you help where you can, medically, practically, and maintain the boundary between what you owe biologically and what you choose emotionally? Because here is the truth that no one in this situation will say out loud. Biology is not destiny. DNA is not relationship. The people who raised you are your family because of 23 years of showing up, not because of a bassinet label. And the people across the city, however real the biological connection, are strangers. Strangers you may choose to know, or strangers you may choose to help. Without knowing, both are legitimate, both are human, neither is wrong. The stranger came to your door on an ordinary Tuesday and said 6 words. I think you have my life. And here is what 23 years of living it has taught you about that claim. A life is not a possession, cannot be misassigned, like a piece of luggage. It is not a fixed object, waiting in the correct location for the correct person to arrive. A life is made, moment by moment, decision by decision, relationship by relationship, through every ordinary Tuesday and every impossible one. The life you are living was built by you on a foundation that began with someone else's mistake. But the building, every floor, every room, every relationship that lives inside it, that is yours, entirely, irrevocably. No document in any folder can reach backward through 23 years. And unbuilding it, the stranger at the door does not want your life. They want acknowledgement. They want help. They want the thing that was taken from both of you before either of you were old enough to have opinions about it. The truth. And the truth, however late, however costly, however completely it rearranges, The story you thought you were living is the only foundation that has ever held anything real. The life you're living belongs to you. It was made in the wrong bassinet, and it is yours. The question is not who it belongs to. The question is what you build next, now that you know exactly what it was built on. The stranger came to your door, looking for a life. What they found was a person. That is not the same thing. And the difference is everything. The life you were given and the life you built are not the same thing. Only one of them is yours.